So Superman and Superwoman have potentially made the situation with Doomsday worse. Superman also goes red level again and seeks out revenge here against the future Doomsday, aka Time Trapper. And we also get our first huge tie-in from the Absolute Universe, which I won't lie to you, got me a little hype. Now this story here is coming out of Superman issue number 23, written by Joshua Williamson. And if you remember from the last time here, Radiant had shot a blast at Jimmy Olsen and Silver Banshee, and right when that blast was about to hit him, Lois got stopped by the Time Trapper to see if he could convince her, because he wasn't able to convince Superman to kill Doomsday. So right here we see Lois saying, I can save them. And she mentions, she's like, I know I can save Jimmy and Silver Banshee. Even if I stop the one blast, Radiant could continue his attack, but I know I can stop this. But the Time Trapper, he's like, yo, are you trying to convince me or are you trying to convince yourself? So she responds back, she's like, yo, what do you want, Time Trapper? First, you come to my husband offering some twisted deal. He turns you down, so then what? You come to me? Then he hits her with this. He's like, did you know the moment that your husband took my life, the last sound I heard was not his fist cracking my skull or the sound of my body crashing to the earth. It was the sound of you, your tears, your howls of grief, and now we are here. Look, and you can see the battle and everything that's going on here in the background. And he's like, listen, this is just the beginning of the dark future to come. There will be many more tears. If you help me, I will give Superman a better future, one of hope. But Lois, she's not convinced. And he's like, okay, fine, then consider this then. I can show you the future. I can even show you the exact moment of your death. Of course, you want to know, right? The great Lois Lane, the Inquisitor of Truth. And I gotta say, I like how he played on her personality and also her career here. And he's like, all right, take my hand and I'll show you everything. So Lois is like, hell no, and slaps his head, and then she just cracks the dude in the face. And Time Trapper is like, yo, are you serious right now? You dare to do this? Do you have any idea what I could do to you? So Lois is like, yeah, you're right. I did cry when Superman died. Who didn't? But those tears were not just about his death. They were because he died doing something that he hated, something he never wanted to do, which was take a life, and how you pushed him to do that. You have all this power and control over time, and yet here you are like some kind of time traveling devil offering us our dreams in exchange for our souls. And that has made me realize something. It's that you need us. So she's like, yo, cut the crap and just do whatever it is that you want to do. So then Time Trapper's like, all right, fam, like as you wish, your loss. And because Time Trapper's a little petty, he's like, listen, I gave your husband a few extra moments before time restarted so that he could save you from Doomsday's attack. But you, I'm not granting you no such mercy. So dude snaps his fingers and takes her out of this like time limbo per se, which then forces Lois to try to jump and to save Jimmy and Banshee. But what happens here is that the basically looks like they both take that thing, or all three of them, I said both, all three of them take that thing head on, and it damn near knocks Lois out cold. The camera then we see drop, it falls to the ground, and then we see the face of Superman. Now I'm not sure whether or not he's seen this as of yet, but you can see he's starting to go red level again, right? And he screams, he's like, get out of my city, Radiant. And then like in the next breath, he's like trying to like stop himself. He's like, stop, no, this isn't me. I can control the anger. And I'm like, all right, we'll see, homie. We'll see what happens later on. Now let's not forget about Radiant here. He's the one that started this whole mess in the first place. So then Radiant, he's like, okay, then, well, direct your anger where it should be. The centuries of pain and ruin caused by Doomsday, open up your eyes to the truth so that you may finally see that the monster is mine. So then he charges at Doomsday. And Time Trapper, he's all in the background here. He's loving this because he comes in and he's like, perhaps I have chosen the wrong champion. And then Superman sees him and is like, Time Trapper. And once again, dude starts to go red live again. And he's like, what have you done? And he straight gives this like Dragon Ball Z uppercut here to Time Trapper. I'm not gonna lie to you, this made me laugh so hard. And then Doomsday, Time Trapper, he's like, yes, Superman, give me your rage. So in the meantime here, we see Lena, she's hovering and she's calling out for Lex, right? And he's like, okay, over here. And she's trying to tell him about the chaos that's going on out there. And Lex is like, I know, but I almost have it. A way to put a stop to all of this. It's risky, but And then in the meantime, Time Trapper's like, okay, Superman, if it's a fight that you want, then I'll give you one. And then in that moment, Lex lets Lena know, he's like, you have to help me find a suit. And listen, what happens next on the screen? It's just pure chaos, because you got the super family here. Like, one is like, yo, I hate to say it, but I think we have to give them Doomsday. Steel is like, I think we're past that request, Lana. Supergirl's like, listen, we need to regroup and start evacuating Metropolis. And then we got Lois. She's over here still looking around for Jimmy, because I'm not gonna lie to you, I kind of forgot. I'm like, yeah, where is Jimmy? Like, what happened to Jimmy? Meanwhile, Superman is just going ham no lettuce here on Time Trapper. Raiden is attacking Doomsday. Like, my goodness. So then Lex, he pops up here out of nowhere, right? And he's like, listen, we need to get Doomsday, Radiant, and his army into the sky and away from any civilians right now. So then Mercy's like, okay, boss, you got it. But then Superwoman's like, listen, we gotta wait here because Superman is still in the middle of a fight right now. So Lex is like, listen, you better hurry up. So what Superwoman does is that she darts all the way across, pushes Superman out of the way, and then Radiant's like, yo, hold on, like, what's going on here? And in the meantime, Time Trapper's like, all right, I see I need to make my exit. But before he goes, he's like, remember, Superwoman, this is only the beginning. Time is on my side. So then Mercy's like, all right, Lex, everything is clear. And then we see Lex fire off this gun while Radiant and Doomsday are in mid attacking each other here. So what Lex did is that he used one of Brainiac's bottles here to trap Radiant, Doomsday, and Radiant's people here inside of that little bottle. But the thing is, Superman's like, you sound a little bit too confident over there. Because Superman's like, yo, Radiant and his army are trapped in there too. So it's not just Doomsday that you got to worry about. So what Lex lets him know, he's like, time has slowed inside of the bottle city. But then Mercy's like, well, if Doomsday dies because of some time slowing down, then who knows what kind of powers he'd resurrect with. So Superman's like, yo, this was a mistake. But Lex is like, bro, like, what other options did we really have? I saved us. But then Superman's like, but at what cost? And Lex is like, bro, there is always a cost. Like, you know that already. So then Lena tries to bring more pressing matters. She's like, listen, y'all can argue about that later on because Jimmy, like, something is wrong with Jimmy. So it looks like we finally found Jimmy. The next shot that we see here is Jimmy in the hospital. Well, maybe not hospital, some facility that they have there, with Alice White right next to him at his bedside. And Clark lets us know that the doctor said that he'll recover, but his hands will need some time. And in the meantime, Percy just wants to know, he's like, yo, where is Lois? Clark lets her know because, of course, like, they don't know that she's Superwoman yet, right? So he just lets him know, he's like, well, she got hung up at the office and she'll be here at some point. The next moment that we catch Lois here, we see her just like suspended in the sky, looking down, sad. And Superman shows up. He's like, yo, you should go in, honey. But Lois, she explains, she's like, listen, I treated these powers like it was all fun and games, but it's not. And Jimmy, this dude got hurt, and it's because of that reason why. Superman tries to console. He's like, listen, I've felt these things before too. We can train more, we can spend more time with the powers. But Lois is like, it's not that. But before they could continue their conversation, there's this voice that comes yelling, and I'm like, red text, okay, oh no. And when we look, we see Silver Banshee, and she's like, yo, this is all your fault. So Superman's trying to get her to calm down. He's like, yo, like, could you relax? But then Silver Banshee's like, listen, the man that I love is in a coma right now because he was trying to get a picture of you. And she's like, I don't understand why Supercore has been protecting your identity. So you must be someone special, but I don't care who you are. Just know this, you have your first arch enemy. And I'm like, all right, cool. I get why she's upset. And Superman's just like, just let her be upset because Lois wanted to kind of go after her, right? But then Lois continues later on. She's like, is this the start of what Time Trapper was warning us about? It wasn't about Doomsday or the aftermath. It was about us. Do our choices bring this dark future he keeps talking about? So Superman's like, what do you mean? And she's like, Superman, Clark, for the first time in my life, I'm afraid of the future. Now, this next moment here gets very interesting because we hear someone say, your powers are completely gone, Lord Zod. And as we know, if you follow like absolute power, the powers that Superwoman currently has, Lois has right now, are General Zod's powers here. So the voice continues on. He's like, you haven't been near a yellow sun in some time. Perhaps we need to get you back under one to recharge, but that journey will take some time. So then Zod's like, nah, no one can know. But then the dude's like, all right, your secret is safe with me, my lord. But then Zod responds back. He's like, of course. And I do not need the last son of Krypton's powers to ensure it. And then he takes dude's face and just squeezes it. I'm like, wow. And the way he did that, by the way, so reminds me of like Omni-Man from Invincible. Like, oh my gosh. But then here is where things get interesting, because we fast forward here to the end of time. I don't know why I said fast forward, but we go to the next scene here where it says at the end of time, and we see Time Trapper, and he's calling out to Superman. He's like, Superman, come to me. You are right. Even your past self refused my offer. So I'm like, okay, what Superman is he talking to here? And then he continues on. He's like, don't any of you know what is at stake? And he continues. He's like, time is not written in stone here. We can still change it. You will see how much worse things get once Darkseid returns, and then come crawling to me for help. And then in that moment, he starts to get attacked, and we're like, yo, who was attacking this dude? And then he turns and he says, you, anyone but you. And then the voice says, you messed up, Time Trapper. You tried to work with the wrong side. We'll give you what you want. And then when we look to see who it is, this is the Darkseid's Absolute Legion, who we have seen over in the Absolute Universe. Now it's unclear as to exactly what they're doing here, but it seems as if though that they want to know what he knows about this universe's Superman, because one of them says, but first I will rip from your mind everything you know about this Superman. Now to me, this is huge, because this is the first huge tie-in that we have here from the Absolute Universe. The thing is though, unfortunately, this aspect of the tie-in here is not going to be picking back up here until the summertime, so we gotta wait a little while here. But there were ultimately so many stories that were intertwined into this one. Lex Luthor potentially going back to his villain ways. Silver Banshee, basically much of the same. We got Zod. That story is supposed to be picking up as well. And yes, the absolute tie-in. So I would love to hear what your thoughts were down below in the comments on this particular issue. What do you think is going to be happening next here? Also, if you could do me a favor, if you like this video, please leave a like for the YouTube algorithm. Also subscribe if you are new to the channel. Also check out our links that are down below in the description, where you can follow us on social media. You can also join our Discord, and where you can also become a member of our Patreon to unlock exclusive benefits. It's also a way that you can support the channel as well. Thank you always so much for kicking it with Keepin' It Comic. Take care. Bye.